I stay Millie living, I stay living like Millie. I stay Millie living, I stay living like Millie. What? I stay Millie living.
Good boys, listen to the Hock Pacua podcast.
Welcome back to the Hock Pacua podcast. Can't believe this is already episode 8. That's crazy. Joined here by the very special Robert Kinckiner. Robbie, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on, Dean. I guess you saved the best for last.
We still got Chris.
Forget Chris.
Yo, so I could cut this part out, but in early September you texted me. You were saying you were getting a pedicure with the missus, and you were saying how you were laughing at the podcast. It must have been me and Aiden or me and Kevin, and that just made my week. And I love the league. I like putting in like extra time doing the podcast because it doesn't feel like extra stuff. I get to chop it up with the boys back 3,000 miles away. So yeah.
No, I enjoy it every week. Every time you text in the group chat, I wait for it to drop. I always watch the whole thing. Lane is always like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "You watching that again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I watch it every week." She laughs whenever she hears my name. It's a good time.
Yeah, my show's
It keeps
on.
the banter going.
Yeah. Chill, my show's on. It's
Exactly.
whatever it is. Yeah, but how are you doing? How's married life? I haven't really spoken to you since.
Everything's good. Married life's good. We're in the apartment for now until we finish construction on the house. Just getting used to living with each other. We're having a good time. No
Yeah,
complaints. Enjoying myself a lot. A lot
heck
of good
yeah.
things going on.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for. And in the world of Pistolpedia's fantasy, we both had some of the craziest weeks this week. I mean, I thought I lost for sure going into Monday. I'm positive you were thinking the same.
I saw the score. I was like, "There's no way
No.
that." Especially, I thought Igbuka wasn't playing the whole time, and Evans was going to be their only receiver. I'm like, "Oh, this is an easy 20 points for him."
Yeah.
But sure enough, Mike Evans died. Sam Laporta
Yeah.
just didn't get the ball in the third and fourth
Yeah.
quarter. Was not expecting that. As they say, Kinckiner luck. But we'll talk about the Kinckiner luck later on because I think it's a myth. That was the first Kinckiner luck of the season.
Really? That's what you think?
I really believe that was the first Kinckiner luck. I mean, if we want to talk about luck, we could talk about it later on.
No, that's fair. But I mean, one of the funniest parts about it is that you won by a Travion Henderson amount.
I know. I mean, couldn't have happened any funnier, especially that I really was not going to play him this week. But when Igbuka went down, I was like, shit. And so then I
Yeah.
put Henderson in because he was the 1 o'clock game. Originally, I was just going to play Vidal and then I was going to go Pacheco. But, you second guess stuff. You're like, maybe Henderson will break out this week. But just going to let you know he's going on the bench for now because I don't know what blackmail Ramondre has on Vrabel, but I do not think Henderson is getting more than 10 touches anytime soon.
It's insane. And the fact that you picked up Vidal and then now Pacheco looks like he might be coming up as
Maybe we'll see. I don't know, but we've been running without an RB2 all season. We're
yeah.
averaging 130 points a week. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor gets the amount of yards and touchdowns as two guys. So I mean,
Exactly. So just got to roll with the hot hand, right?
yeah. But yeah, now you're 5-2, tied for first with 4 other teams, which is just part of the crazy year that this league has been having. What has this 5-game win streak been like for you? I mean, you have 5 straight wins. You started out 0-2. I know Alex is on a 3-gamer, but
Yeah,
5 games is
I
great.
mean, it was pretty crushing the way to start, but I didn't feel like last year I felt hopeless. My first 3 picks busted. Like I
Yeah.
don't think there could have been a worse draft than what I had last year. The fact I didn't lose the league, I thought was a miracle. By the way, shout out Aiden for saving my season with that Jonathan Taylor Kareem Hunt trade. That was,
huge.
just buying time. This year, I felt like you guys joked about in the first podcast show, oh, Josh Allen had a Josh Allen week 35 points. You guys are like, it's going to be carrying me. Josh Allen has not been Josh Allen this year, shockingly. It's been Jonathan Taylor. But, I felt like my receiving core was pretty strong after the first week. The big thing was Justin Jefferson, how he was going to play with JJ McCarthy. I think they've just completely banished JJ McCarthy to the bench, so we're not going to be having this issue. Um, it's been pretty unbelievable, 5 game win streak. It feels pretty hot. But normally every year, I was looking back at the past couple of years, minus last year. I mean, the other 2 years when I was in the playoffs, I led in points scored those years. I started out 0-3 those years too. So it's kind of weird. I think I always get off to a slow start and then kind of get hot, but fantasy's luck. We all know that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Except if you're Ant. Ant always has a sick team and can't set a lineup, but we'll talk about that later.
I love this, like these little previews are like, there's some stuff here, but we'll get to that later. But
how are you feeling about your win? We got to ask you.
yeah, I mean, it's just Ant was bugging me the whole weekend. I mean, the guy drops like 50 or 60 on me with two guys on Thursday, and the whole like Sunday into
You're like,
Monday,
this is over already. You're already
he's like,
feeling
"You
it.
won." I'm like, bro, like you literally need Goff and Rashad White to sit to bed, and they did exactly that. Like, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, I already wrote off the week. I was in a PlayStation party with Alex and Kevin. I was like, yeah, man, I'm 4-3. Whatever, it's whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Ant's team is loaded now.
I mean, his team is so loaded. That's the thing. But
Yeah.
the thing working against him is he going to set a lineup?
That's been his biggest issue. But yeah, I just was not expecting that at all. It was, I mean,
Listen, you got a hardy team. You got a hardy team.
Yeah. They play to the team.
Your pep talks are really great.
But yeah, I mean, I think the potential matchup of the week this week can be you against Chris, which looks like it could be a battle. I mean, Josh Allen versus Lamar. Allen, like you said, has kind of come down to earth a bit. He's kind of averaging like around 20 a week versus
Yeah, 20, yeah.
25 to 30 you'd get the past like 2 years. So who do you guys?
He's really been sitting around like 17. It's crazy. Like, I'm debating starting Drake May this week because Drake May's been on an absolute heater. Like, but then again, they're playing Carolina, so I don't want to overthink this.
Yeah.
It looks like Josh Allen's going to be playing. But to the Chris thing, we want to talk about luck. I mean, this team makes no sense. I'm just going to say it now. Like, out of the one person that's 5-2, I look at his lineup and it looks the weakest. But every week, Chris somehow puts up 130 points. And I mean, not so much 2 years ago, but last year too was the same thing. His team was not that sick on paper, and just guys go down and other guys pick it up. Like DeAndre Swift, I had him last year.
Yeah.
Terrible pick. Terrible. Like, guy kept 120-point week. He's just putting up 20 points for Chris every week. I think the only sore spot you really see in his lineup from a guy he drafted high would be Derrick Henry. He doesn't really, it's similar to Will's dealing with Saquon, but you have a guy like Judkins, who I would never think to start. Quinson Judkins has been picking up the slack for him. I don't know who really has the edge between me and him, because I think we should say it's Chris luck now at this point, because I mean, Nick Kinckiner has not had Kinckiner luck this year either. He's been going through a trial, and I think it's really been one matchup. Chris's guys just seem to pull it out. I really don't have any confidence in this matchup, but I think you could feel the same as 5-2. I feel like I can kind of wait out and see what my guys are going to do before I try and make any big moves to bolster the team. I think it's just kind of see who's going to be consistent and who's not.
It's tough with Chris as well because, his second round pick was Derrick Henry, who's not been producing what he thought he would. But also to note that Malik Neighbors was his first round pick as well.
Yeah, and just gone. Garrett Wilson was going off for him, just dead.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he still has guys who, like, they'll put up, like, Pittman puts up 20 a week. I think you had him last year, right?
Yeah, I had him last year, did nothing, But then again, that whole Colts offense is revamped, so it was a good pick on his part. But, like, even, like, Tyler Ward, like, who expects anything from Tyler Ward? Nobody. Like, it's unbelievable. And I'm sure he's going to play me this week, and Lamar is going to go right back to being Lamar.
Chris had a tough first half of the draft, a great second half.
Probably the best back end of the draft this season.
Yeah. And, it's really hard to go against your team this week, just how how much they've been gritty, just been producing 5 straight games. I mean, with all the Kinckiner luck jokes aside,
Yeah.
I mean, your team's been unstoppable even with Travion Henderson in the RB2 spot. I think like throughout the entire season so far, right?
This is the first week he's not going to play.
Yeah.
We've played him every single week.
Yeah.
I think it's really come down to I think I look at my lineup and everything. Justin Jefferson hasn't really been Justin Jefferson. I think that Igbuka pick really was very clutch, and I kind of gambled on George Pickens because I had a feeling CD would miss time. CD misses some time every year, and sure enough, George Pickens looked even better than CD did
Yeah.
at the start of the year. We're going to see how that shakes out for everyone. It's nice knowing I have a really solid receiving core. Even like I traded for McConkey, and he looks like Lad McConkey again, which is nice. Like I feel like I have a solid receiving core, and then you have Jonathan Taylor, who's just been like Christian McCaffrey this year,
Yeah.
unstoppable.
Yeah, and I haven't, Aiden was on the first episode, you're on this episode. We didn't really get to go inside on the McConkey for Pickens trade, which I feel like kind of got overlooked a little because at the time Pickens was like the top receiver in football, but that was because CD was out and Ladd was just like he was awful.
Lad didn't have more than 50 yards in a game, I don't think, at
Yeah.
that point. But and it just like I traded for him. I know it was the Monday trade, and then Tuesday it comes out that Johnson wasn't playing, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of big. And then after that, he's been catching. He hasn't been dropping as many passes. Everything else, we'll see how that offense shakes out. You know, I don't like to get. I don't know football that well. Even though we play fantasy, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not like Chris. I'm not that locked in. But we all know. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to stay on this tear he's been on. Just being his age and everything else, and you can see his usage has already started to drop. So, I think it's going to be good for me as well as Kevin. We're going to keep on seeing, the lad stock rise, and I think Johnson's going to stay exactly where he is. So, should be good for Chargers players. As far as Kamani Vidal goes, I really feel for Alex with the Omari and Hampton. I don't think Vidal is very good, but who else are they going to run?
No, yeah. It's not Haskins or whatever the other guy is, the other special teams guy. But I mean, I like your team again in this matchup, even against Chris, who's he's been pretty
I'm
lucky.
I'm I'm gonna go with, even though I'm the hot hand, I'm gonna go with Chris. I really am. I
Okay.
think Chris knows how to set a lineup really well. He's good at matchups. I'll give Chris that credit, as we've seen over 2 years. He's probably, I think it's even better than the run Will went on, because we haven't seen a bad team Chris put out in the field the whole time he's played fantasy. Chris is probably the best fantasy player out of all of us.
Yeah. I mean, he knows everything about all these guys. It's crazy.
Dude, his waiver claims at like
Yeah.
3 o'clock exactly. It's insane.
Yeah.
So shout out to you, Chris. I may clown on you. You've had insane luck this year, but you did have a great back end of the draft.
Yeah. I think that's how you can tell
Yeah.
ball knowledge too,
Yeah.
All of us myself, we picked terrible guys in the late ends of the draft. You
Yeah.
had Puka this year, but guys like Chris and Kevin, they like say these guys who like none of us have heard of and they end up
Dude, look, I reached for Henderson in the 6th round and looked how that went. That was probably
Yeah.
the worst pick of the draft.
No, that's how I feel with like
And
Judy,
that's,
like the
yeah.
seventh or something. Yeah. but yeah, like Chris, like Lamar can shoot out of a cannon this week if he's back. No Trey McBride though is huge for you. And
Very
I'm
true.
Judkins to repeat what he did last week. He went off, and his wide receivers have been unpredictable. I mean, like
Yeah, I think we're going to see a big week from McMillan because Carolina is going to be playing from behind. Let's be real. So they're going to be throwing the ball up in the air. Pittman may have a down week. That could be key for me because they are playing Tennessee. So as long as Jonathan Taylor plays all 4 quarters, unlike the first week where they pulled him, I think that was the difference for a win for me. Jonathan Taylor play in the fourth quarter. That should be a win in my column. But Tyler Warren, tight end, could have a big week. If they're not throwing to Pittman, he still has Warren out there. If they're going to be throwing, depending on Daniel Jones feels, you got Derrick Henry. They are playing Chicago. Chicago's not very good against the run. Like they have not been good against the run this year. So Derrick Henry could have a big game. I don't love his defense against San Francisco because you don't know what's going to happen. But then again, I don't really love the Patriots against Cleveland either because you don't know what you're going to get from that matchup. And kickers are a crapshoot. We know that.
yeah,
So I think it's going to be close. Like right now, it's projecting me for 135. I think that's kind of crazy. It's only
that is
projecting
a
him for
lot.
120. I don't really think. I think I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close game between me and him. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. And moving on to what else? Another matchup that can be a close game is the next installment of the shit ass bowl. We have Alex against your brother Nick. And for this matchup, we have 7 guys on bye here, and that's including Amon-Ra St. Brown, JSN, which those are the 2 biggest ones. Also BTJ, which that doesn't really matter, but some other notable
Just
things.
I'm just gonna say Alex is starting Whitty Marks at RB2. Like it's just Stephon Diggs may not even play. Like I really feel for Alex here. Like your flex is Tez Johnson. Like for somebody who's been I mean he lost Nico Collins, which
Yeah,
sucks. Like hopefully he comes back quick. That's going to be a big shot at him. Amari and Hampton still on IR. We don't know when he's coming back. He's really depleted. He's holding on to Brandon Ayuk. We don't know if we're going to see Ayuk. I think he could be key to San Francisco, but just looking at this, side by side with Nick, I definitely give Nick the edge this week. I think Nick's going to start going on a little bit of a heater. I think Kevin gave up way too little for AJ Brown. I mean, I offered him Pickens and Igbuka up until Nick did the trade for
yeah,
Metcalf. I don't know what he was really thinking. No shade at you, Kevin. I know you want to dump him, but I think him and Nick were drinking, and that was just typical Nick doing his trade talk. Um, Nick definitely has the edge this week. No shade at Alex. I think Alex has like a really solid team at 4-3. He could just as easy be 5-2, and I could be 4-3 if he beat me that week where we had that gauntlet.
yeah.
Alex is just really depleted by injuries. I think it's gonna see how it all shakes out, how guys come back. The good thing is he does have Xavier Worthy back now since he traded for him, which is I think that's going to be a nice pickup for him. But I'm going to give the edge to Nick this week.
Yeah, I'm taking Nick here as well. I mean, not having JSN, Nico, and even BTJ just kills
Yeah.
Alex just because, it's Ted.
Well, let's not even talk about BTJ. Like this
I
is like
know.
Alex with me with Tyreek
Yeah.
last year. It's just
Yeah.
the non-performance of somebody.
But
That
yeah, I
Jaguars
think
offense.
yeah, no, it's horrible. And I think just not having all like any of those guys really hurts him this week. And Nick's team, it could surprise a lot of people as it did last week. He had the second most points last week. His guys who he's been rolling with since start of the season Olave finally sprouted out.
Yeah.
Um,
Another one of my star picks last year.
yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, um, you know,
I,
I
I
think
think I think AJ Brown's going to produce a lot down the stretch. I think that was a really good trade for Nick to make. Um, yeah, I think Nick made smarter trades this year than he did last year. I think last year he was trading. My brother. He just loves to trade, and he like even today he texted me to do a trade. I was actually pretty tempted, but the buys didn't line up. He's structuring a more solid team this year. Like he's heavy at wide receiver now, which is really good. And a chain, I think he's going to get dealt somewhere. I mean, that Miami Dolphins, that could be huge for him if he gets placed
yeah,
with a contender. They're going to be running him a ton because he's going to
yeah,
practically be a rental at that point.
for sure. Yeah, and like you said, he's making smarter trades. Because in the past, like he's kind of like myself, and like we make like a trade a week past couple of years. Now
Yeah.
he's been like efficient with it. Like
He's
not
he's only I looked
yes,
at the transactions. He's only made 3 trades this year. That's
yeah,
very low for him.
yeah. It's like who's at the helm for Nick's
Well,
team.
I know Nick's kind of quieted down this year. I think he's trying to focus on just making a more even lineup, and he has some good boomer bust guys in there as well, but it's just a more solid core. That Daniel Jones waiver wire pickup looks real good for him.
Yeah. No,
And
yeah,
even stashing Jackson Dart, he's got a good backup. Like he's assembled a nice squad, I think. Um, but sorry, Alex, you've had a lot of injuries. Alex, when your team's healthy, super scary. But I don't know how this is going to shake out for him in the upcoming weeks. If Hampton doesn't come back, I think Alex could be in trouble.
yeah. I'm actually gonna text Nick right after this and ask about Jackson Dart, but I know it's gonna be tough since he's also the king of New York football right now. So,
Very, very true. Gonna need to
but
give him a little extra.
yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna go Nick here just because of all that. I mean, not having the Amon-Ra safety net sucks, but on the other side, Alex doesn't have the JSN safety net. So,
Yeah, the JSN 30 points a week.
yep, yeah. So moving on to the next one, we got Ant versus Will, and I think this is a very interesting one. what are your immediate thoughts when you look at it?
Well, listen to me. He's starting Justin Herbert this week.
Yeah.
After I said in the group chat, I would be starting him. I think Will's had a lot of bad luck. Obviously, I think Ant's weak position right now is running back. Obviously we were waiting to see, when is Bucky coming back? We don't really know. Clearly, Bucky will not be coming back till after the bye. Just looking at this head to head, Baker versus Justin. I think Baker's the better quarterback, but Justin's going to be throwing the ball more. I think that could be easy. I'm going to give edge to Ant on that just based on a matchup. Saquon versus Brees. Saquon will always be Saquon, even though he's been kind of a bust of a pick this year. Pollard versus White, it's pretty even. I mean, neither of them, like Rashad could go off, but looking at how depleted this Tampa Bay offense is, I don't think they even want to really give the ball to Rashad unless, they're tossing the ball to him. So, but Tony Pollard has not been good either. He's not great. Um, Drake London versus CD, obviously CD Lamb. Keenan Allen versus Jamar Chase, obviously Jamar Chase. George Kittle versus Goddard. I think if Kittle's back to full health and they use him this week, I'm going to give the edge to Kittle, even though Goddard's been great. Zay Flowers versus Jalen Warren. I'm going to go Jalen Warren just for the consistency. I mean, Zay Flowers could give Will 30 points, but, a lot of times it's only 5. And then you have Bengals defense versus the Jets and then Falcons versus Miami. I'm going to go with the Falcons. I don't
100%.
think that Bengals D has been terrible all year. And the only thing I will say as far as Ant goes, Jamar's been on a tear. I don't think this Flacco mania is going to last. We've seen it with Flacco before. He's
Yeah.
getting older. Um, I think Ant is really going to be a juggernaut. I think it's going to be if he can make it into the playoffs at this point. I think, he's traded away for guys who haven't had their bye yet. I think Ant really needs guys to not be on their bye. And, I think he had too many matchup blunders.
Hmm.
I just want to talk about, I just told him to start ETN that one week, week 3. Yes, he started ETN. ETN still did put up 12 points, and that was the only week David Montgomery went off. The next week, he started David Montgomery, who
Against
gave
the
him 3
Browns.
points. And if he started Travis Etienne that week, he would have won. Like, I just some of Ant's matchup decisions make no sense. And what's going to be a shame is he could be a juggernaut. He could win the whole thing, but it's going to be if he could string together enough wins. And, he's an upset win from Will away this week from just completely being out of contention. We're going to talk, is Ant going to be in the Mayo Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, and he'd be a scary Mayo Bowl team, you know. But
I mean,
I think he'll
Ant
get
should
it.
win this week. Ant should win this week. Easy. This should be an easy win for Ant this week. Will's definitely down in the dumps. He's strung together a couple of lucky weeks. He's very funny when he texts. He's either selling it all or he's keeping it all. He's not sure what to do, but this should be an easy win for Ant. I'm going to give Ant credit. Ant set a good lineup this week.
I agree. I'm going 99.9% Ant here.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
he should have beaten me this week. And I'm acknowledging that out of respect and not like throwing it in his face or like rubbing it in or anything. I mean, his team is genuinely scary. I wrote him off. I wrote my week off last Thursday when Jamar put up his signature near 40 bomb and like you were saying like a weakness at running back, but like even if Bucky's out and you have Rashad, like he should have a high floor just because of that Tampa offense. Jalen Warren has a high floor just because of his role in the Steelers offense, and Brees Hall, like especially if Tyrod's the quarterback, that's a huge plus for him. I think he'll get his first touchdown of the season, which is crazy to say how late we are, but I don't know.
I think Ant has a really scary team on paper. I think it's
Yeah,
just going to be how this is going to shake out. The only thing he really has to worry about, I think, is going to be, is there going to be a regression with Jamar Chase? Did he play too much? Because it looks like Jameer Gibbs finally broke out last week.
yeah,
So I think that's going to, I don't know if that was really worth it for him. It's going to be, when is Bucky going to get back? And what's it going to be with the Jets with Brees Hall? Like, especially now, Tyrod may be playing, but they may sell Brees Hall, and then if Brees Hall gets traded, before the deadline, he's not going to start that first week if he's with a contender. So now you're
exactly.
talking dead weeks with Brees Hall too. You don't necessarily want someone on your team to get traded because they got to learn a new offense, especially someone who's only been with the Jets from a rookie.
Yeah, and just to move over to Will's team, I mean, he's not only been dealing with Saquon struggles, he's also dealing with a wide receiver core that's been like a majority boom or bust,
Yeah.
and that's
He's
Drake
either
London.
it's either 150 or 90 points for him each
Exactly.
week, and it
Yeah,
sucks.
and it's not just like something like the back end of his receivers. It's some of the top guys and Drake London, Zay Flowers, and Marvin Harrison, who he drafted kind of high too. I mean, Keenan Allen's been his most solid guy, along with Kyron Williams, but Kyron's on bye.
And I
Ladney
think we're
Walker
starting.
is
I
getting
think
like
we're starting to
14
see the
targets.
regression with Keenan. I
Yeah,
think we're
like
going to start seeing the regression with Keenan. He doesn't really
yeah,
have a core receiver core besides Drake London, and even then, he's been kind of hot and cold with him.
yeah, and I'm not gonna shit on the guy because I mean, this whole week I've been trying to get Keenan Allen from Will. We've had some trade talks. It came pretty close, but it looks like it's not gonna happen. But I've been like not
You're doing the
shutting
same as me.
down.
I've been trying to trade him a receiver. I've been trying to
Really?
go for Kyron or Saquon because I kind of want
Okay.
to shore up that RB2 position. Um, but yeah, he's in the tough spot.
Yeah.
He's got to decide if he's going to roll with it, or if I was him, I'd start making some big moves because it's going to be
Yeah.
boom or bust down the line. I don't think this is going to get any more boom or bust than it is right now.
Yeah, because what I was telling him with Keenan, I'm like, dude, I know he's your top guy right now at the receiver position, but like my whole thing is like to make moves before stuff gets bad, like
Yeah,
to kind of predict what a guy will become. And I know I was the one trying to get Keenan just because I don't like my own receiver core, but I also was like, I mean, I don't know about Keenan down the stretch, man, but I mean, you do you. I don't know.
I listen. That's all it is. He's
Yeah.
just got to decide what he wants to do.
Yeah, like you trading Pickens. He was like the number one wide receiver for 2 straight weeks, but you like knew like ahead. You're like, this isn't gonna happen when CD's back. You know what I mean?
Well, I've done it before. I did it last year with DJ Moore. And listen, hindsight's 2020. I don't always do it great. I've held on
Yeah,
to guys too long, but I've
gamble.
been burned in the past by too many hot weeks. Like I need more points. DJ Moore is worth shit this year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's been like 8 points every single week almost.
Every single week, 4 targets, and it just
Yeah,
makes no sense. But is what it is. Still my dog.
yeah. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're both marking this down as a big win for Ant. But that's where upsets happen the most when on the podcast. We both
Yeah, that's very true. Maybe Saquon breaks out this week for 50
yeah.
points. Could be.
Yeah,
Could
could be.
be.
Yeah, so moving on to another guy who needs miracles to happen. That's Aiden, who's playing Kevin Judge. And who do you got in this one? That's Aiden's 1-6 now, I believe, versus Kevin's 5-2 squad.
I mean, the thing is, Aiden has a chance here if I look at this. Just for seeing Jameer Gibbs is on bye. I think Kevin was smart from place. He was sitting in the driver's seat, trading away Jamar, got off that train for Puka, who's a more reliable, consistent option, arguably been better than Lamar this year before he better than Jamar this year before he got hurt. But just based on that, looking at this matchup, Aiden has a shot to win. I really feel for Aiden here. I do. Head to head, Jalen Hurts versus Bo Nix. Bo Nix finally got something going in the fourth quarter against the Giants. I don't think Jalen Hurts has looked particularly well this year. I think teams are starting to catch on to the tush push. We've seen it finally started to get stopped. That's going to be a toss up between the two quarterbacks, but could be an advantage for Aiden if Bo Nix keeps it up. What we saw in the fourth quarter, Kamara versus Chase Brown. New Orleans not really going to be
Yeah,
running the ball, which sucks. But
yeah,
here's the thing: that Cincinnati O line is still the worst O line in the week, even though they're playing the Jets. And Flacco's going to want to be throwing the ball, so I don't really see Chase Brown, picking up any of the slack for Jameer Gibbs. I think that's pretty close. Dowd over Scadaboo, I'm going to give the edge to Scadaboo here in all honesty because I think the Giants are rolling. I think they finally have a run game. I think he's going to get touches no matter what. It looks like he's getting yards after contact. That's going to be an edge for Kevin. Odunze versus Sutton. This is a tough one because Odunze looked like the guy, but now there doesn't look like there's a guy in that Chicago offense. Caleb Williams is not great at throwing the football, which is what we've seen. They have a better head coach and a better offensive coordinator, but doesn't I don't know how that's going to shake out. And Cortland Sutton, he's been all right. Pickens versus Addison, I'm gonna give the edge to Pickens. I think Pickens, we've seen his floor with CDs about 12 points. Addison with the whole Wentz and McCarthy situation, like I'm dealing with Jefferson. He's still playing second fiddle to Jefferson, and we haven't seen Jefferson crack 20 points. So I think we're gonna give an edge to Aiden there. Kraft versus Otten, kind of a crapshoot. Obviously, I'm going to give the edge to Otten just for the fact, we have no wide receivers in Tampa Bay. Even we're not sure if Puka's playing this week again.
Yeah.
Rice versus Devonta Smith win to Kevin. Rashi Rice is back. He's going to have a great receiver core when Puka comes back. It's going to be great for Kevin. I'm going to take his defense over here and kickers over there. I think the only thing that's really going to suck for Aiden this week is that he does have GT on bye, which sucks. But this is a winnable week for Aiden, and I hope he does win. I think he needs some hope. I really do. I hope some of his guys start putting up some numbers so he can make a couple other moves. I was in this situation last year. It really, really sucks, and it's no fault of him. Just been a weird way fantasy shaked out. But I'm gonna give Aiden some hope here. Some hope. I'm gonna give Aiden a win here.
And it would help us out a lot in our division.
That's very true. Besides the help, you know
Yeah.
what? I want to root for the underdog here. Aiden's had
Yeah.
some really crushing losses.
Yeah.
I really feel for him here. I want to see Aiden get a win here.
Yeah.
Kevin does have the better team on paper. Kevin's a Rashi Rice bomb away from slaughtering him, but I'm hoping somebody from Aiden's team picks him some slack. Let's see a Pickens 30-point week. Let's see
Yeah.
it.
I mean, Aiden's been in such a struggle, dude. I mean, his team isn't even that ugly on paper. I mean, it's just a weird thing where guys just like they don't perform like when it comes down to it in Ashton Gianti. I mean, Devontae Smith. That's just a guy that when you start him, he'll give you 6. Every time you bench him, he'll give you 30. That's just the nature of who.
Well, it's like, do you have T Higgins?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like very similar to the
Very
T
similar,
Higgins
yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And and it was similar when you had Tyreek on the Dolphins with
Yep.
Waddle. It's very similar. You're playing second fiddle, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just. I mean, I think the toughest thing with this team, you look like you have guys like Kamara, who Kamara is normally lockstep and go, but New Orleans is a really bad team this year. He has that Carolina backfield shored up, but when they have a tough matchup, you're not getting much of anything. Same with Gene T's for real, but the Raiders are just really, really bad. And nobody could have saw that coming with the way Geno's played. Nobody, but I think he's just stuck in matchup hell.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of what Pete was in last year, where
Yeah.
it's funny looking at if Pete had like Will's schedule or whatever it was, he would have like made the playoffs versus made the Mayo Bowl. It was just so unfortunate.
It really sucks, but he's just stuck in matchup hell. It
Yeah.
really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at Kevin's team, I mean, even with Gibbs and Puka on bye, who are like Gibbs is the top 5 running back in fantasy. Puka was number 1 before he got hurt. He still has not even just a solid team, I think a good team, and that's crazy to look at with those 2 guys on bye, and the players that he doesn't have this week. And I think,
I mean, he's still putting up 120 points with guys on bye.
yeah.
You look at this lineup, like
Yeah.
wouldn't shock me if he touches 130, even 140.
Yeah.
Some big weeks out of some guys.
And I think barring like a Devonta Smith and George Pickens like total going off like 30-point week each, I think I'm going to take Kevin here just because of the floors of the guys he has. But I mean, that's not to note that we don't know what some of the guys will do, like Odunze, or I'm trying to think Bill, like guys who've kind of they might be coming down to earth. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna find out in the coming weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, so now we got my matchup against Kevin Hall. Now, I had something prepared for this. I don't know if you saw, but I think I pissed off some people in the group chat like an hour or 2 ago. I was just pointing out how it was starting to get like a little annoying how like the past 3 weeks now. And I didn't mean this from like this is so annoying. I meant this as like kind of like a joking way. How like every time when I played Kevin 2 weeks ago, Ant this past week, and now Kevin again, Kevin Hall this time, like they send me like GG or like damn like you won like on Thursday before the matchup starts, and I was just pointing out how like everyone's coping so hard when I'm playing them, and and I think like some people thought I was complaining about my team or like that I'm oh like you have to start Joe Flacco and Josh Reynolds. I didn't mean it for to be like poor me. I was just pointing out how like I don't know if you've noticed this how just so many people this year in the group chat will be like oh GG like you beat me.
No. I totally
I
get
don't
what you
know.
mean. It's like,
I don't do. I don't think I do that. I don't know.
I mean, I joke around. Like, I told Kevin, like, good game, like, way too early. But it's
Yeah,
like, I wait for it to start. Before we've even played is crazy. Before players even touch the field is wild.
yeah. And it just pissed me
It's
off with
crazy.
Ant when Jamar and Warren put up like 60, and then Devonte Adams catches like his first touchdown on Sunday, and he goes, "GG, it's over." I'm like, dude, like you just ruined my
If
Thursday.
there's one thing I want Ant to take from this, that is the biggest lineup fumble in the history of our league was Ant's performance last week. Like, I will not let him live this one down. Especially with all the flack he gave me for I told him he should start
Yeah,
ETN because I was even trying to trade for him. I wanted the guy. I
yeah.
would love that guy as my RB2. But you know what? He rolled with the Montgomery trade and he got so fed up he traded them both away. You know what? He ate his words. Um, let's hear about your matchup. I want to hear what you think about your matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a toss up. I'm gonna take Kevin here, just due to the fact that I'm not confident in my lineup this week. It's a tough week for buys around the league. It's the most bye weeks in the NFL, but really the only guy that I'm really confident in is Bijan. I think he's gonna go off completely. But I mean, Jacobs has been dealing with some calf stuff, but I mean, if he plays, which he probably will, he will get in the end zone. I'm not afraid about that.
He's got a high floor for you.
Yeah,
He's got a high floor.
it's just my wide receivers. Like I'm not confident in my wide receivers outside of Devonta Adams, and he's not playing. And I haven't had a tight end all year, so like now, like people are gonna take this be like he's complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just talking about this week. I'm not counting Kevin out at all. I know he's counting himself out. He's had a rough stretch, but
Yeah.
I think purely this can be a toss up with his tandem of CMC and James Cook. Quentin Johnston can be the number two guy like in in LA. We'll see tonight. And
He's been the number one. He's
yeah,
been the number one guy in LA besides Keenan. Him and Keenan have been A1 and A2. You know, I think it's really going to come down to this week with you and Kevin. If I look at this team, it's going to be what is he going to get from James Cook? And what I mean by that, it's been very similar with me and Josh Allen, that Buffalo offense show. He has a pretty high floor. It's about 8 points, but the ceiling's pretty high. But we've had a lot of 8 point weeks. We've had some 20, 25 point weeks. He's got to get the full performance out of James Cook. And then we're going to go down to DK Metcalf, that DK Metcalf trade. And Kevin, no shade. I hope you were doing that when you were drinking. AJ Brown for DK Metcalf. I know I offered you better. I offered you George Pickens, or I'll put
yeah,
you on blast. Or Buka, your pick, and you clowned on me.
yeah,
I mean, I think his weak part of his squad is going to be his wide receiver core. Obviously, you don't love your wide receiver core, but you're also dealing with Devontae Adams on bye this week. But for you, it's going to come down to I think what's going to happen is this going to be the T
yeah,
Higgins bomb week? Which normally what happens is Jamar Chase is a big week, and then we start throwing the T Higgins. Because they're going to be doubling up Jamar, I'm sure. I feel for you with those struggles in that Miami offense. They should
yeah,
really bench Tua.
yeah,
Hopefully they do. Yeah, I mean, I'll give the edge to Kevin this week as well. I think Kevin's had some heartbreaking losses. You got a lot of guys on by. Really, you got Devontae on by. Um, we'll give the edge to Kevin here, but again, again though, with you. You're a Bijan and Josh Jacobs bomb away from just blowing up this week and ruining Kevin's week. But maybe you'll have a similar situation to last week where Quentin Johnston's going to surprise you, and you know we'll see how this rolls out for you.
for sure. Yeah, and that's all the matchups we have this week, and that brings us to Mayo Watch, which has been one of the most exciting segments of the show as the weeks go on, as the playoffs. It looks like we know who will make it, who might not. Mail watch. Who do you have? Or I guess how we've been doing it as of recent is like the top.
Aiden's in it, right?
Yeah,
Let's just both say, unfortunately, Aiden, I don't want you in there, but I think you got to bolster that squad up. You have some tough matchups. It's got to be Aiden. If I look, the problem is, we have Ant as a 2-5 team, and Ant is really not a 2-5 team, especially these trade he makes. So we kind of have to take him out. I think Nick at this point, Nick, we talked about it. Nick looked like he was on Mayo Watch. I think Nick has taken himself out of that contention. The easy thing would be to say Kevin Hall, but he's running Chris. He's not as boomer bust as someone like Will. I think Will. I'm going to put Will at 3-4 on Mayo Watch because he's got to decide what he wants from his team. Like I said earlier, I said this is too boomer bust. I said he's really counting on like this week with Ant. I'm going to give Ant the layup. He's going to be 3-5. And if his brother-in-law over here takes a win away from you, they're going to be tied. And
yeah,
going through these matchups down the line, I'm going to take Kevin. I think Will is officially on Mayo Watch.
yeah. I I mean, you kind of stole the thunder there of what I was gonna say. I mean, I had 2 weeks ago I had Will and Aiden. Last week I had Will and Kevin Hall. I'm kind of expecting a Kevin win this week, but even if he loses, I wanted to note, yeah, Will might be in there as well for me, and that's just due to like I think Nick's on the rise. I think he's gonna either make the playoffs or miss it. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think he'll be like either the 6 or 7 there, and I think it'll be a battle over Kevin Hall and Will to see who
Yeah.
plays Aiden in the Mayo Bowl. I think that's what it looks like now, but it's still early. A lot can happen. We're now halfway
I
through.
think I think the only other person we could put on Mayo Watch, which I'm going to say this, even though I was glazing his team earlier, he's got a really good team. Alex, we got to see how Alex comes out of these injuries. I think that's what it's going to come down to because if he's got to keep on running Woody Marks out there, I think he's going to be in some real trouble. And BTJ
Yeah,
has not done anything. I mean, I hope for his sake Nico comes back pretty quick. Um, and he needs to get Hampton back. If he doesn't get Hampton back, he's going to be right there with him because this looks like Nick's going to stop him this week, and then he's going to be at 4-4, and I think there's going to be a bunch up at the bottom, like we have a bunch up at the top.
yeah. That's it's a fair point, and I've been saying to him like dude, like you're not gonna trade for like a quality running back because like we don't know.
Nick started calling me.
Oh, okay. Now I was just saying because yeah, it said it was like it'd stop or whatever, but we don't know like when Omar and Hampton's gonna come back as well. Like I don't know. It's just running back's not a position where like it's hard to find like those guys on waivers who will come out, and if you do, best to you. But I've been hogging up the #1 waiver claim for a bit, just waiting for like a quality guy to come along, and they really have.
Listen, I snuck Vidal, and I was so happy I snuck
Yeah,
him in because I needed something from something from
yeah,
the waivers.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean that's the only other person I could really see being on there. We could joke around with Ant.
yeah.
Ant's team is too good. I think Ant's got to be focused on can he get that 6th spot because I don't think he's going to go on a tear because I think if you look at week 9, he's got a lot of guys on bye. I think that's not a winnable week for him either.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. And yeah, so I mean, it could totally be a bunch up at the top and the bottom, what we're kind of seeing this week. So this year. So our next segment is the Hock Pacua parlay picks, and I'm gonna be honest. I kind of wasn't thinking of what mine would be, so it's gonna be spontaneous. I don't know about you, but I pick a leg, you pick a leg, I pick a leg, you pick another leg to finish it out. This past week, it was three out of 4. Devontae receiving yards was the only one that didn't hit, which was just so tough because he had 3 touchdowns, so it didn't make sense. So I'm gonna start it off with Brees Hall anytime touchdown. I think his first touchdown is gonna come this week against a weak Cincinnati Bengals team, and it's crazy to say with the amount of touches he has being an RB1 that he doesn't have a touchdown, and that's just so Jets, So
Well, it can't be any more Jets than that.
it can't.
I was gonna give you something with Jefferson, but this is gonna come out after, so I want this parlay to be good.
Okay, yeah.
Let's run with come on. No, I can't do it. I can't do Vidal either. Fuck. Okay. Wow. My whole team is playing tonight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna know right away. We're gonna know right away how this is gonna
yeah,
be for me this week. Let's go with an Igbuka touchdown. I think he's going to play. He's been a dog in the end zone. He's been carrying that offense for Tampa Bay. Nobody saw him coming. Let's go for an Igbuka touchdown, especially we haven't had it in 2 weeks. I think it's coming. We had a lot of upset parlays the past 2 weeks for a lot of people on X. I think we're going to have an Igbuka touchdown this week.
yeah. And just to keep it going, I'm gonna stop with the receiving yards and whatever, just because I messed it up this past week. I'm gonna go with another anytime touchdown, and that's gonna be Saquon Barkley. I think he's finally gonna do it. He's gets a second chance to play the Giants again this season. I think they're gonna make sure he gets in there.
I think that's a fair point. And you know what? Let's give Aiden some love. Let's do a George Pickens touchdown. Let's see the. Actually, I take it back. We're gonna do Devonta Smith touchdown. We need the breakout from Devonta Smith
Yeah,
for him against
yeah,
the Giants. I think this is the week.
yeah. That's the Hock Pacua parlay. It's looking great. It's looking great. Um, so yeah, that kind of sums up a bulk of the show, and as we always finish it off, I wanted to ask you if you have any narratives you wanted to comment on, anything you wanted to bring up from this past week, from this season as a whole, anything, any shit talk you wanted to give to anyone, or
I'm very insulted by this Kinckiner luck.
yes, we had to
The
talk
whole
about
the whole
Kicked a lot.
Kinckiner luck narrative. I'm a Kinckiner brother. Last week was my first week in this league. I've had Kinckiner luck. I mean, I had 2 years in a row. I was first in points scored, second in points scored, lost in the chip to Will on his run. Then the next year, Chris went on his tear, lost, got bounced from Chris in the first round, even though I had the most points scored that year. I feel last year I did not have any Kinkner luck. I was in the Mayo Bowl. I mean, if you look at my team this year, up until last week, I was most points scored across the league. I snuck in. I had 2 bad weeks. Josh Allen has not been Josh Allen, but they weren't even bad weeks. I haven't had a 90-point league like some of these frauds up at the top. I'm just putting it out there. I think the Kinkner luck narrative needs to stop. Also, the complaint committee should get some new heads. We have a lot of people in the complaint committee.
Yeah, it's filling up.
It's filling up. A lot of these guys are complaining. And any narratives you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah, the complaint department one was one I wanted to comment on, but I know the members of the complaint department are trying to get me in on it. So
But you're not part of the committee. What's funny about you? I'll give you credit with this, even though I don't want to glaze you as the commish. But it's not glazing. You're just saying, it would be nice to have this. Like, it's not like you're not like trashing your team. And like I look at your team, it's like we joke around with me. Like, I have no RB2. I can't say that because I have Jonathan Taylor. You're not allowed to say anything about running back. But then we make fun of me for having Travion Henderson.
Yeah.
I can't complain. So it's like.
yeah.
I feel your pain there, but who do you think is the new head of the complaint department? Because we've had a lot of complaints recently.
The head is tough. Because it's like Kevin Judge has to be in it just because like of the
He's not happy no matter what. Whether he wins or loses, he's not happy.
no matter what, and like he needs everyone to know that his team is the best and his guys are the perfect. Like I think there was one of the new meme accounts that sprouted up on Instagram. I don't know who runs it. I don't know, but they made a meme today about when Kevin Judge tells you about how all his guys are perfect and can do no wrong. I think just for that reason he has to be in it, because when his team is not performing well, like last year, it was just complaint after complaint. And then Ant has to be in it. He has to be in it. And Will, I think Will and Kevin were in it last year with Pete, but I think Ant right now has taken Pete's spot, and I would say Kevin Hall, but I mean,
Kevin Hall does not complain. He just was
not
bitching about
complain.
AJ Brown
He's
every
being
fucking
real.
week. It's funny.
Yeah.
Kevin Hall is not in there. And you know what? I'm gonna even give Will credit this year. You know, being in the complaint department, he's had some really shitty matchups. I feel
Yeah.
bad for him.
Yeah.
More justifiably so.
Yeah. And it hasn't been how it has been in the past years with him. He's toned down the complaints a little bit.
Can't wait for me to hear next week about the take on Kinckiner luck from our next guest, Kevin
Yeah.
Hall.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna have the reigning champion Chris Mendelara on the podcast, and that'll sum up our our guests, like going through each member of the league, and it was in like no order at the start. People were like, "Oh, is it gonna be whoever Dean's playing this week?" And like I wasn't thinking of that, but I was like, that could be cool, but also like I don't want like the person who I'm with to be like, oh no, I really like your team, and then be like, I really like your team. So
It's too complimentative.
yeah, so the only thing I will announce now is that we are planning something special for in 2 weeks. So after this next week with Chris, planning to do something pretty cool to start. Like once we get into what the Hock Pacua podcast will become. But I don't want to give too much away until we actually do it, so it's still a surprise. So that's all I'll say for now.
I'm excited. Sounds pretty great. Gonna keep on listening to you when I get my pedicures.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, people can't knock pedicures till they try it. I got one.
I know. Listen,
Fantastic.
call me gay. I love them. I don't care.
Yeah, it was like they do like the whole like when they put the lotion stuff on like your calf.
Dude, you get the massage. Ever get the foot
Yeah.
massage? It's so worth
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's kind of a scam. It's like $50, but it's
Yeah,
so worth
but
it.
come on, you gotta treat yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Treat yourself, dude.
Yeah. Rob, thank you so much for being the 8th guest of the Hock Pacua podcast. It was a pleasure, man.
Thank you, and good luck this week.
Thank you as well.
See ya.
Living a joke on a bitch. Living a joke on a bitch. Living a joke on a bitch. Living a what? Yeah. I go on David and joke on a bitch. Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna none. Let little stitch. Yeah. That could possible bitch. Like what's the sitch? Yeah.